Welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. Constitutional revision is the biggest boogabear that the Japanese are confronting right now in the national parliament. And in this episode, I'd like to address constitutional revision, Michael.
Well, maybe we shouldn't.
No, never mind. Let's not do that.
No, let's not. Well, actually, we'd like to, but,
If we do...
if we did, what would we discuss?
But what would happen if we did start discussing
But, whatever you had been discussing before, this is exactly this conversation. This is almost exactly the way it went this week.
Mm-hmm.
And after all that we've been hearing about constitutional revision, about the importance, the vital importance of having a 2/3 majority.
Right. We've predicted it here on this show.
Yeah, this is so important for saving Japan from whatever it was that was wrong with Japan.
Just kidding.
That's right. The LDP and Mr. Abe walked back away from their own constitutional draft.
They chickened out.
Chickened out, or maybe they were never serious about it in the first place.
No, I think they were serious about it. We were just talking in the last episode about the Prime Minister adroitly avoiding those issues of controversy that could upset other elections, gubernatorial elections or elections for the lower house.
In its founding document, the LDP
Right.
in 1955 declared that a primary reason for the parties even existing is constitutional revision. Mr. Abe has been talking about constitutional revision from the moment he entered the Diet. And for this absolutely blatant political opportunistic, well, let's just open up the conversation and we'll just have it on a general level. When you have that majority for the first time in history in both houses of the Diet and spoke to your partisans all these years saying, once we get this, we're going to make sure that these things get changed. The cynicism of it just blows my mind.
Okay, let's just talk about how far they got and what they were planning to talk about. They were going to talk about the 2012 constitutional plan hoisted by the LDP.
The LDP, when it was out of power, put out this draft constitution.
Excellent draft. They've been working on it for years.
Of course, and it had all of the ideas that were vital and important and crucial for them and for the safety of the nation.
Right.
And these included a limitation of personal rights, the inclusion in the Constitution of not just rights but national duties.
Right. Patriotism, the treatment of the emperor.
To behave in such a way as to not cause disorder, to change the emperor from a symbol of the state to an actual head of state.
Delicately tiptoeing around Article 9, which everybody is so terrified of.
But stomping on the principle of not having a military by saying that what is now called the SDF, the Self-Defense Forces, shall be called the National Defense Army.
Okay.
That the word gun, army, will come back into the lexicon. These issues, there were many, many, many revisions. Some of them are useful. One of them, for example, finally puts down in the Constitution the Prime Minister's right to dissolve the Diet. That's been a fudge that, okay, everybody knows that the Prime Minister has the right to do that, but it's not codified.
Right.
They want to put that in. There are lots of things that need to be in the Constitution.
The Constitution has been untouched.
That has been
since its creation.
It's been since its creation, and it needs it needs a little bit of makeup here and there.
Okay.
Honestly, it does. But there were so many other things. And the opposition parties, seeing that there is now the 2/3 majority, they campaigned vigorously and furiously, saying, if you don't vote for us, they will get this 2/3 majority, and then the Constitution will be changed. They based their campaigns on this. It wasn't a great and salient issue for most of the voters, and so this strategy of stopping the establishment of a 2/3 majority in the House of Councilors failed.
Right.
It failed. The DP lost seats, not as many as most thought, but still they lost, and the ruling coalition and its like-minded parties have that capacity to change the Constitution. I mean, this is what we've been talking about for 2 years now.
Okay, let's talk about the fight last week where it was on the agenda. The LDP, as a controller the controlling party, put it on the agenda. It came up, and the fight was about, this is the agenda, this is how we're going to discuss it. They put up a big brouhaha, and the LDP basically said, fine.
It means that the Constitution, there is a committee within the Diet that discusses constitutional issues. It's been there for decades. It's been on hiatus because of the constitutional runaround that this administration has done with the security legislation. The absolutely, completely out of the blue appointment of someone, an outsider, to lead the Cabinet Legislative Bureau, the Cabinet Legislative Bureau reversing its decades-old policy of declaring collective security unconstitutional because of this, the head of it was changed. Then pushing through the security legislation after a year of deliberation and a year of protests in front of the Diet, in front of the Conte. All of this, okay, has happened, and that put the Revision Commission on hold. The opposition said, you guys have just been absolutely trashing the Constitution. And now they have the ability to actually make changes to the Constitution in a constitutional way, not do the runaround. And damn it, they have said we're not going to push anything really radical.
Well, doesn't that tell you, though, that they're just keeping their powder dry? I mean, this isn't going to go away, but in this Diet session, we have another 30 days or so left in this Diet session. They have other things they want to discuss. I guess they figured it's not worth the fight right now, and we have bigger things to cook.
But if they indeed go through with this plan to have a dissolution of the Diet in January, which means we're only a few weeks away from a brand new Diet, they could, in theory, it's not very likely, that the ruling coalition could lose its two-thirds majorities in the House of Reps. Because the wind is blowing in the opposite direction. And if anything comes out of the December Putin meeting on the 15th of December that doesn't smell like a bed of roses, the Japanese public could turn against Abe, and they could lose that two-thirds majority in the House of Reps. And if they lose that, then there goes the whole plan that they've been working on for over 50 years.
I don't think that, I mean, it's possible. I don't think it's likely. I think the Prime Minister has schemed this out. He's already analyzed what is possible, what's not possible, and he's holding back. He hasn't really released the Kraken.
Okay. We'll discuss about Krakens and undersea sea monsters maybe at another time. But from what it looked like this week, it looked, well, it was front page news. That I mean, it's on the front page this morning of my newspaper, my paper newspaper that I still receive in my mailbox. Top news, LDP freezes conversation on its own draft. That's a real walkback. It's a violation of the concept that you put forth a program, a manifesto, and you are committed to it. And this lack of commitment, especially on a foundational issue for the LDP, that it just gets in my crawl.
An issue that gets our juices going, obviously. This is an issue you need to watch because it tells a lot about what the Prime Minister is thinking and what's coming very quickly down the path. Stay tuned.